Peace be upon you. Today, we begin a true story. Your story, my story, and the story of all life. This is a story about a wonderful past, present, and future. It starts from when there was nothing, and it will end when there will be nothing left. From the skies to the earth and everything between them, stars, planets, the sun, time, and all those creations we call the universe. Today, we start a journey to explore this universe. Who created it? What secrets does it hold? And what about our small planet we call Earth? What has happened here, and what will happen? This is our journey to discover it all. Our journey begins 14 billion years ago. Why 14 billion years? Have you ever seen those 7 stars in the night sky? They form what we call the Big Dipper, or in Arabic, Dub-e-Akbar. You can see this group of stars almost every night. If your eyes were the most powerful telescope in the world, you would see a tiny red spot above the central star. This is Jigan Z11, the farthest known galaxy we have discovered so far. It contains trillions of stars that appear as just a small red dot. It is so far away that light, the fastest thing in existence, takes 14 billion years to travel from that galaxy to reach us. This tells us one clear thing. In our journey, we can explore back at least this far in time. But here's something amazing. 99.99985% of these 14 billion years happened before humans existed. Humans appeared only in the last few seconds of this cosmic timeline. So how can we see the birth of the universe? Breaking free from time. To see this, we must free ourselves from the limits of time and explore the knowledge that reveals the true story of all creation. There is a branch of knowledge around us called science. Within science, there is a field called cosmology, the study of how the universe was born. This field helped humans make an incredible discovery in 1964. This discovery was so important that its discoverers, Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson, won the Nobel Prize. They found a type of radiation, but the strange thing was that this radiation wasn't coming from any star, planet, or constellation. It was like energy spread throughout the entire universe. Wherever they looked, they found this energy. It was as if a huge explosion or great expansion had created this energy and spread it everywhere, like an echo from a massive bang that happened billions of years ago. They called it the cosmic microwave background. Today, we know this as evidence of the Big Bang, that the sky and earth and everything between them were once joined together, then separated by a mighty force we call the Big Bang. The horizon problem. But this discovery came with a big problem called the horizon problem. Sometimes we see this energy spread as far as 46 billion light-years away, and in other parts of the sky, only 0.3 million light-years away. This can only mean one thing. Light seems to be traveling at different speeds in different parts of the universe, which appears impossible. This seems to break all known laws of physics. Light has only one speed, about 300,000 kilometers per second. But if it were true that light travels at different speeds in different regions of the universe, then we must accept that time itself passes differently in those regions. At this point, we realize that science also has its limits. But we can't blame science. It is only a few hundred years old as a field of knowledge, ancient knowledge. We must also explore knowledge that existed before these few hundred years, the knowledge of ancient peoples. To explore ancient knowledge, we must go far back in time. 173 years ago, in 1849, an archaeologist named Austin Henry discovered clay tablets in Nineveh. These tablets were used for writing thousands of years ago. Austin Henry called these tablets Enuma Elish. They contained a story written on 7 tablets from 3,500 years ago about the creation of the universe. The story says that when there was no sky and no earth, when there were no trees or swamps, when it was all just water, when there were no humans and no destiny written, at that time there was an order from God. This is very interesting. If we study the entire text of 1,000 lines, we see that before anything was created, they speak about the presence of water, lots and lots of water. It also speaks about an eternal garden and the creation of humans whose souls came down from the sky. But probably the most interesting thing in this text is a word from its Greek translation, logos, meaning something that was said. This means when God wanted to create something, he spoke something. But what did he say? These tablets don't tell us. The Sumerians. Let's look at another civilization that lived even before them. The Sumerians, who lived 5,000 years ago. Sumeria was also a civilization in Iraq, and they wrote in their tablets that there was a supreme being called Namu, who always existed. Namu created the skies and earth from great water. Don't think the Sumerians should be taken lightly. They were the oldest civilization we know of. In today's world, there are at least 100 different inventions we use that were made by Sumerians. For example, the first written text, the first clock, the first irrigation system, and even the first geometric system were all invented by Sumerians. Other ancient civilizations. Let's say 2 civilizations aren't enough, so we look at a third. 3,000-year-old Egypt, which was a superpower of its time. They also speak of Nun, who created skies and earth from a massive, stormy ocean of water, an ocean completely hidden in darkness. The Greeks, 2,300 years ago, also spoke about creation from a black sea of water called Okeanos. Someone might say these civilizations lived close to each other and not many years apart, so they might have learned these ideas from each other. But let me take you to civilizations that lived very far from them. Aboriginal Australians. According to the Aboriginal people of Australia, there was a Lord of all souls who was all alone. He created light and gave life to the earth. Chinese Taoist mythology. Even farther from the Aboriginals, Chinese Taoist mythology also speaks of a god who separated huge waters from each other, placed mountains where they are, and did it with his knowledge and the words he spoke. Korean mythology. Korean mythology also speaks about unified skies and earth at some point in the past. African mythologies. Now we have 2 continents left. Mandi, mythology from West Africa, and Yoruba. Mythology from Central Africa both speak about a mighty power that was all alone, and then he created everything from water. Native American and Hawaiian traditions. In the last continent of America, there is an ancient Cherokee tribe, a Native American tribe, and the Hawaiian Islands located in the middle of the ocean far from all other lands also talk about skies and earth created from water in 7 days. Finnish mythology. Finally, a country in Europe called Finland still talks about Vainainen, who created everything from water. You must have noticed by now that I'm telling you about cultures thousands of miles apart and thousands of years apart from each other. The problem with ancient stories. But there was a problem with all those mythologies. Some concepts in them were quite unrealistic. For example, there was a concept of Earth bound in golden chains after it was created, or in Finland, where a crow comes and helps Vainainen create the universe. We all know that Earth is not chained with any golden chain, and the creation of this universe was not the work of any crow. So I filtered out all these unrealistic things and studied these cultures, looking at the similarities they have with each other. Common themes. The common concept is always the same, word for word, a mighty force called God. He was all alone, and there was no one else other than him. He was the one who created everything from water, and it happened in 6 or 7 days. It seems that the same message was sent to all corners of the world. The messengers were different, and they came at different times, but the message and its sender were always the same. This proves one thing. There is a branch of knowledge besides science that 85% of the people on the planet somehow believe in. This knowledge is called religion. Which religion? But which religion? This is a big question. There are 3,000 different religions in the world today, and all of them claim to be the right one. Let's look at some of the major religions and oldest philosophies. Judaism. Judaism is one of the oldest religions. It says that Earth was created by God, but this Earth is flat and floating on water. There is paradise above the sky and hell under the earth. Christianity is the largest religion in the world today. They also say God created the universe, but according to them, all the stars, sun, and everything rotates around our world. All creation was done just 6,500 years ago, and on the seventh day, God rested. Greek philosophy. Greek philosophy is 2,500 years old and still influential today. The Greeks believed in a divine creation of the universe, but they also believed that a goddess called Andromeda flew into the sky, and wherever she flew, her milk was spilled, creating a milky, starry path. Even today, we know this path by the same name the Greeks suggested, the Milky Way. Eastern religions. Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism are all ancient religions, but they insist that the universe has no beginning or end. It was always there and will always be there. Problems with these religious views. But wait and look back at these concepts. If Judaism is true, then why is there morning in America and evening in Japan at the same time? A flat Earth should have morning and evening in all countries at the same time. Also, there are 4,850 satellites revolving around our Earth right now, which proves it's not flat. If Christianity is true, that it all happened just 6 or 7,000 years ago, then the light from GNZ 11 should not have been able to reach us. It would have been impossible. Even more confusing, why did the God who created all this in 6 or 7 days get tired? He's supposed to be almighty and all-powerful. Also, there are 50 different versions of Christianity's holy book, the Bible. Which version should we accept? Which version is truthful? If the Greeks were right, then who spilled milk on these other galaxies, which are actually collections of trillions and trillions of stars? If Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism are correct, that the universe was always there and will always be there, then why are galaxies moving away from each other at such high speed? Our Milky Way alone is traveling through space at 2.1 million kilometers per hour, and anything that is traveling in space has a beginning and an end. At this point, we can say that these religions also have their limitations. The message was the same at some point, but with time, a lot has changed in them. Islam's unique claim. But I have yet to tell you about one certain religion, the only religion that has claimed there are no lies in it. About 1,400 years ago, a religion emerged in Arabia called Islam. Within just a few years, this religion spread throughout Arabia and eventually the whole world. Today, Islam is the second largest religion in the world. Islam also has a similar concept of creation in its holy book, the Quran. For example, in chapter Hud, it says, God is the one who created skies and earth in 6 days, and his throne was on the waters. It seems as if the message in the Quran was sent by the same being, but there is something that sets the Quran apart from others, a claim made in the very beginning of the Quran. It says, this is a book in which there is no doubt. Now, that is a serious claim, and people like us who want to discover the truth will test this claim to see if it's right or wrong. The good thing is that this is the only book that has no other versions in the whole world. One book, one version, and one claim. Neither science nor any historical tablets, cultures, or other religions ever made this claim. The Prophet's teachings. We will also check the concepts of creation from the man who introduced this religion, Muhammad, peace be upon him, which are found in the collection of his sayings called Hadith. Abu Razin reports that he asked Muhammad, "Where was our God before the creation of everything?" He replied that God was neither in time nor space, and there was nothing above or below him. Then he created his throne on the water. These sources seem sound and logical because they are very realistic. They have the concept of time and space and the concept of nothingness. So we must look further into these sources and see where they take us. Our main sources. To explore further, our major sources will be two: the holy book of Islam called the Quran, and the person who lived in Arabia, the last messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The Quran's account of creation. A concept of creation in the Quran that is hard to challenge among all religions is found in chapter Al-Anbiya. Do the disbelievers not see that heaven and earth were joined together, and we separated them, and we created all living things from water? This seems logical and truthful because when the sky and earth were separated, it would have happened with a mighty force of expansion, the same expansion that is still echoing today. This is the very same echo we now know as the cosmic microwave background. This expansion also explains why all galaxies are moving away from each other. It's very basic to understand that if you reverse this movement of galaxies drifting away, you will eventually reach the point where all of this was closer together, joined together. These are very interesting revelations, but we need more, so we will explore this book even further. The question of time. It is mentioned in the Quran at least 5 times that God created the earth and sky in 6 days. Which days were those? Were they our usual 24-hour days? In fact, this was the same problem with Christianity. Considering such short time, do you remember the horizon problem I spoke about in the beginning? That time seems to be different in different regions of the universe, but I think science made a mistake here. They should have called this a revelation instead of a problem. The concept of time is very clear in the Quran, unlike in Christianity or the Bible. The chapters of Hajj and Ma'arij tell us very clearly about the changing properties of time. A day with your Lord equals your 1,000 years. Angels and the Spirit ascend towards him in a day which equals your 50,000 years. Somewhere a day equals 1,000 years, and somewhere it equals 50,000 years. This seems to be quite an advanced book that speaks about changing properties of time at such an advanced level, a level no other religion has ever reached. Going deeper into creation. We can go even deeper into the concept of creation in the Quran. The first verse of chapter Al-An'am is, "All praise is to Allah, who created skies and earth and the lights and the darknesses." This seems to be a wonderful verse because if you look at it, it tells us about more than one sky. It also mentions the creation of darkness. But how can darkness be created? Normally, the absence of light is called darkness. Also, why does it use the word khalaq, created, for the creation of skies, and the word ja'al, made, appointed, for the creation of darkness and light? But probably the most important question: who is Allah? Who is the creator of all this? One by one, we will look into all this, but first, let's solve the mystery of darkness. Olber's paradox. There lived a German astronomer in the 17th century called Heinrich Olber. He raised a question we know as Olber's paradox. He said that if this universe is truly infinite and expanded everywhere uniformly, then everywhere we look in the night sky, our eyes should end up on a star, and the night sky should be much brighter than it is. But it's not. It's as if something is covering all this light, something dark, something like night. It has been 300 years since Olber asked this question, and no one has given a satisfactory answer. But the answer might lie in chapter Ash-Shams in the Quran, "I swear by the night when she covers." This seems to be a very advanced book, and one desires to explore it further to know the secrets of creation. Understanding the sky. The next stage is to understand the sky, because humans' relationship with the sky is very old and very deep. We have been looking at the sky for centuries. We even have names for those who like the sky. Nefhofel, someone who likes the sky and its clouds, Seronofel, someone who likes the sky and its thunder, Pluviofel, someone who likes the sky and its rain; astrophile, someone who likes the sky and its stars; selenophile, someone who loves the sky and its moon. But the question is, what exactly is the sky? Before I tell you further, I'd like to share an experience. Before writing this chapter, I interviewed 20 people about what they think the sky is. Someone answered that the blue thing we see above is the sky. Someone answered that somewhere far above there must be a white shield, which would presumably be called sky. Someone answered that the clouds are probably the sky. There were many interesting answers. What science says about sky. Let's look at what science says the sky is. The blue thing is actually just the atmosphere, and it's blue because when sunlight enters our atmosphere, sunlight is made up of 7 colors. The blue color is separated from all other colors because of the gases present in our atmosphere. This happens because the wavelength of blue color is the shortest of all other colors. In the evening, the blue disappears and red takes over because the sun is closer to the horizon, and the atmosphere between us and the sun is almost 38% denser than normal atmosphere in the sky. Layers of atmosphere. But how far above does this atmosphere go? Science answers this question. Troposphere. 6.5 miles above, you'll find the atmospheric layer called troposphere. Almost all of Earth's weather is present in this layer. Clouds, rain, storms. All life on Earth lives inside this layer. Even the farthest-looking clouds are actually inside this layer. Stratosphere. Above that, there's a 31-mile thick layer called stratosphere. You've surely heard of the ozone layer, which protects the planet from harmful rays of the sun. Some commercial flights fly in lower regions of this layer, and some spy jets fly in the middle region of this layer. Mesosphere above that, there's a 53-mile thick layer called mesosphere. Life is not possible for humans there because the temperature can be 90 degrees Celsius, and there's almost no air or oxygen. When meteorites enter this layer, they start burning. Thermosphere above that, there's another 300-mile thick layer called thermosphere. This is where most of our satellites orbit the planet, and this is where the most beautiful dark green lights are born, the aurora lights, one of the most beautiful night shows of our planet. The Kármán line. Above that, there's an imaginary boundary of our planet called the Kármán line, because after this, the greatest expansions of empty space begin, spread out trillions and trillions of miles into deep space, so far that light from GNZ11 takes 14 billion years to reach us. But where was the sky during all this? And what is above that? Science cannot help us above that because those places are beyond the realm of scientific knowledge. What mysteries lie there? Where will we see the sky? How must the sky look? And what is above the sky? For that, our source of knowledge is now the Quran and Hadith. Sky in the Quran. The Quran speaks about the descending of water at least 22 times. We descended the water from the sky. But watery clouds are just at an elevation of 2 kilometers, so we need to find more clues about the sky in the Quran. At least 3 times the Quran speaks about the sky as a safe roof. At least twice it's mentioned that this safe roof is also secured so that it does not fall. At this point, it starts to seem as if the sky is protecting us from something, and also as if it has been secured from something. Does this mean that the sky might be the name for the ozone, or any other similar protecting layer? Perhaps the clues are still not enough, so we must study the Quran deeper for a better understanding of the sky. Properties of sky in Quran chapter At-Tariq speaks about a strange property of the sky, that it returns over and over again. Anyone aware of climatology, the study of climates, knows that there are only 4 seasons: winter, summer, autumn, and spring. But climate is actually of 12 types, influenced directly from the atmosphere in the sky, which is returned from the sky over and over again to Earth. For example, rain, fog, precipitation, snowfall, storms, winds, all of them return to Earth over and over again, influenced directly from the sky and atmosphere. At least 3 times it's mentioned that the sun, stars, and moon are also in the sky. Twice it speaks about decorating stars that are in the sky, and 3 times it speaks about pillars that are in the sky. For example, verse 16 of chapter Al-Hijr says, "Beautiful pillars are placed in the sky for those who see." Exactly which pillars those might be, who can say? But a picture was taken in 1995 that was called one of the 10 most beautiful pictures ever taken. It was such a beautiful picture that it was photographed many more times afterwards. 3 towering pillars that were actually called the Pillars of Creation, which have been a source of beauty, comfort, and admiration for those watching. Sky as great expansion. At this point, it becomes crystal clear that the sky is a great expansion upwards. Besides the sun, moon, and stars, the Quran gives us more properties of the sky, for example, burning flames that chase and catch, mysterious stars that eat entire galaxies without leaving a trace. In the Quran, I even found references to stars that can have a tail 6 million miles long coming behind them. But all of this in its right time. First, we must continue our journey upwards in the sky. Such wonderful creations, the pillars, sun, stars, cannot be only in the Milky Way. Stars are in other galaxies too. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, contains about 400 billion stars, and our sun is just one of them. Our neighboring galaxy contains 2.5 times more stars than our Milky Way. That means more than 1 trillion stars. And there are some 2 trillion galaxies out there, just like the Milky Way and Andromeda. Is it all in the sky? Where is the highest limit? Expansion and limits of sky. Further research in the Quran guided me to at least 4 places where it speaks about the expansion and highest limits of the sky, and 2 of them are crystal clear. For example, chapter Al-Ghashiyah. Do they not see how the sky has been elevated? Or chapter Ad-Dariyat. We have created the sky with our own hands, and we are the one to expand it. Looking at all these clues, an understanding finally starts to build in front of us. The expansions of the sky start just above us and go much, much higher. But is there any limit to this great expansion? The answer is yes. There is a limit to this great expansion, a boundary mentioned in Al-Nazi'at and Ar-Rahman. Is the sky more difficult to create, or you? Allah is the one who created it and elevated its samak, meaning the outer boundary. The second verse is very mighty and also carries a challenge. O jinn and humans, if you have the authority to leave the boundaries of sky and earth, then leave. Without power you cannot leave. Flames of fire and smoke shall be released upon you, and you will not be able to protect yourself. Do you get the point? After these huge expansions distances, which neither can I explain nor can you understand, somewhere there must come a place where there will be a azamak of the sky, meaning an outer layer of the sky. Upon reaching it, flames and smoke will be released, and perhaps that place is the boundary of the expansion of the sky of our world, the outer surface of the sky, the limit of the sky. Summary of sky. The expansion of the sky starts from just above us, from our atmosphere, and goes all the way up until its samak, its outer layer. This is why water is descending from this sky. This is why the sun, moon, and stars are floating inside this sky. This is the sky that is decorated with stars. The sky is actually a huge expansion starting just above our heads, expanded trillions and trillions of miles upward, which finally has a boundary somewhere far, far above. What I found in Quran about sky. During my research work in the Quran, I observed, on 4 points, the design of the sky, on 6 places, clues about creatures in the sky, on 3 places, risk, sustenance, descending from the sky, on 6 places, doors and pathways of the sky, on 2 places, emotions of the sky, on 2 places, jinn and demons traveling in the sky, on 3 places, things that ascend and descend in the sky, On 16 places, the destiny of the sky. What will eventually happen to it? On 5 places, Allah, the creator of everything, swearing upon the sky, one of his greatest creations. In time, I will share all these things with you, one by one. The creatures who live in the sky, the things that ascend and descend into the sky, the doorways and pathways of the sky, and what will finally happen to the sky. The 7 skies. And on 7 places in the Quran, I observed the number of skies, that they are 7. From here on, I will tell you about those 7 skies. It has become very clear now that reaching this point through science would have been impossible. So, through the Quran and Hadith, I explored more about the composition of the skies. In a book by a 14th century Egyptian scholar, Jalal al-Din as-Suyuti's book, As-Samaya fil Hayat as-Samawiyya, I discovered a detailed description and composition of these 7 skies. Now, I will tell you what lies beyond the Kármán line, the last frontier of mankind's reach. The 7 heavens described. First sky. The last boundary of this great expansion that starts from above us is the first sky, which is the sky of the earth. It is made of water and is called Rakia. Probably because of this water, smoke will be released to anyone who dares reach it, according to chapter Ar-Rahman. The Hadith of Miraj tells us that this is the sky where Adam and Eve are living now. According to some traditions, this was the sky where Prophet Muhammad saw an angel called Habib, built half with fire and half with ice. I want to share something about the water of this sky. Roman Emperor Heraclius wrote a letter to Muawiyah, requesting to tell him things people often ask about, but the answers should only be from the teachings of Prophet Muhammad. Muawiyah sent that letter to Ibn Abbas so he could answer it better. This letter carried a question about Mujara, and Ibn Abbas answered that Mujara is like a door in the sky that acts like a barrier between here and who's there. It's the kind of barrier through which nothing can pass, not even heat, not even temperature. I also discovered about Mujara that it is a liquid that is alive, a kind of water that is alive. Although I couldn't verify this tradition from another place if it is correct, then the first sky is made of water that is alive. It contains doors through which nothing can pass, not even temperature. Second sky above it, there is the second sky made of white pearls called Asfilun. According to Hadith, Prophet Isa, Jesus, and Yahya, John the Baptist, are living there. Third sky above that, there is the third sky called Kaidum, made of pure iron. In this third sky, Prophet Yusuf, Joseph, lives. According to some traditions, this is the sky where Hazrat Israel, the angel of death, resides. Fourth sky. Above that, there is the fourth sky made of pure brass, called Ma'u-Na. It is where Prophet Idris lives, and there lives an angel called Kisfa-il, who is the angel of tears. Fifth sky above that, there is the fifth sky called Rika, made of pure silver. There lives Prophet Harun, Aaron, and that is where the custodian of hell, Malik, lives. Malik commands some of the most mysterious angels mentioned in chapter Al-Alaq, referred to as Zaba'aniyah. Details about angels will come in the second chapter. Sixth sky. Above that, there is the sixth sky called Dakna'a. It is made of pure gold and pure stones of red color, where Prophet Musa, Moses, lives. But before I tell you further, I want you to imagine just for a second a sky made of pure gold and red rubies. Chapter Anam speaks of a great tree there, whose roots are in the sixth sky and whose branches reach high up in the seventh sky. The tree is called Lote tree of the farthest boundary. It is a berry tree whose leaves are large and whose fruit is like large pots. Beetles made of pure gold are flying around this tree, and Muhammad reports that on the night of Ascension, when this tree was covered with the order of Allah, the color of that tree changed in a way that he had never even known those colors. No living being in the world can describe how beautiful those colors are. Seventh sky. And then there is the seventh sky called Ariba, also known among the people of the book as Araboth. This is the sky where Prophet Abraham lives. It is made of such light that humans cannot understand. The branches of the lote tree can only reach up to this place. Whatever goes from below is stopped here, and whatever comes from above is received from here. Above the seventh sky. But what is above that? From this moment onward, I will be very careful, and I request you to listen very carefully. Above that, there is the throne of God, which is carried by 8 great angels. This throne is made of red ruby, and there is the great chair above the throne. This is the limit of all knowledge that was ever there for anyone, including mankind. Above that, there is the Lord of the throne, Allah, the Lord of everything. My Creator, your Creator, the Lord of whatever I have written or spoken. Writing about above the throne, I feel a certain kind of fear. The preserved tablet. There is a place on the right side of the throne where everything is written, Law al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. Allah has made it with pure white pearls. Its pages are made of red rubies, and its writing is written with light. This is where everything is written, about everything that ever was and everything that there will ever be. Whatever Allah wills is written in it. Its base is made of pure white stone, and it is placed in the lap of an angel. Allah, the Lord of everything, looks at it 360 times in a day. Prophet Muhammad reports that the 7 skies compared to the throne are like a ring in a huge desert, and the throne compared to the great chair is like a ring in a huge desert. Just pause for a second and imagine what you just heard. Can your brain truly understand these great expansions? Can I truly explain these greatnesses to you? Perhaps never. It was never meant for any creation to fully understand these things. The word of creation. Do you remember me saying in the very beginning that nearly all cultures in the world speak of a mighty force creating everything and speaking some words? But no culture could tell what words those were. Even theoretical physics has a theory that before creation, many universes were floating among many forces, like the force of gravity. Every few trillion years, these universes collide with each other, resulting in a massive bang, a big bang. The reason for this collision might either be an unimaginably powerful force of gravity or, according to this theory, a force unknown to us. I don't know what you make of these last words, but when I was writing these words in this chapter, I actually smiled, because in the Quran, I found this unimaginably mighty, great force mentioned at least 7 times. When we wish something to be, we order it be, and so it becomes. The most unimaginable and most powerful force that ever existed, the force of kun fayakun, be and it is, the Word of God. The Camel Story. This universe and the mysteries hidden in it has always been one of the biggest questions of mankind. Imran bin Hussein once visited Prophet Muhammad and tied his camel at the front door. Imran also saw some people from Yemen visiting the Prophet, and he heard them saying, "O Prophet of Allah, we have come to know from you how this universe came to be." The Prophet started to tell them how Allah had always been there. He was all alone, and his throne was placed above the water. He wrote everything in the Law al-Mahfuz and created the skies and earth. The Prophet was still telling them, but someone shouted to Imran that his camel had broken off and run away. When Imran heard this, he ran after the camel. He saw that the camel had reached far into the desert. Later, Imran was heard saying, "I swear by God, I wish I had let that camel escape, but had heard what the Prophet was telling." If I'm honest, I too wish that camel had not broken off that day, and Imran bin Hussein would have reported to us what the Prophet had told that day. Allah knows how many secrets would have been uncovered by the Prophet that day. It's exactly the way Prophet Muhammad reported about Prophet Musa, his meeting with that mysterious personality, and his inability to be patient during their trip. He said, "May Allah have mercy upon Musa." If he had just been patient, Allah would have revealed many more of those mysteries to us. Today's chapter was just a beginning of our journey. From today on, I'm going to tell you more chapters in which we will take guidance from the Quran, Hadith, and modern scientific knowledge to uncover the mysteries of the universe. Key Points Summary. Let me summarize what we've discovered in this journey. Scientific discoveries: the Big Bang Theory and cosmic microwave background radiation. The horizon problem showing time passes differently in different regions. GN-Z11 galaxy, 14 billion light-years away. The expanding universe with galaxies moving away from each other. Ancient Civilizations Agreement. Despite being separated by thousands of miles and years, ancient civilizations agreed on a mighty God who was alone. Creation from water creation happening in 6 or 7 days. The same core message across all cultures. Problems with current religious views. Judaism's flat earth concept contradicts observable reality. Christianity's 6,000-year timeline contradicts astronomical evidence. Multiple Bible versions create confusion. Other religious concepts don't match scientific observations. Islam's unique position claims to be free from error. A testable claim. Only one version exists. Worldwide concepts align with scientific discoveries. Advanced understanding of time relativity. Detailed cosmological descriptions. The Quran's scientific accuracy describes the Big Bang. Heaven and earth were joined together, then we separated them. Explains relative time. A day with your Lord equals your 1,000 years. Describes expanding universe. We created the sky and we are expanding it. Mentions creation from water. We created all living things from water. Addresses the darkness of space. The 7 heavens structure. First, sky, made of living water, contains Adam and Eve. Second sky, made of white pearls, contains Jesus and John the Baptist. Third sky, made of pure iron, contains Joseph and the angel of death. Fourth sky, made of pure brass, contains Idris and the angel of tears. Fifth sky, made of pure silver, contains Aaron and Malik, guardian of hell. Sixth sky, made of pure gold and red rubies, contains Moses and the Lote tree. Seventh sky, made of incomprehensible light, contains Abraham, above the 7th heaven. The throne of God carried by 8 angels. The great chair above the throne. The preserved tablet, Law al-Mahfuz, where everything is written, Allah, the creator of all, the power of creation. The ultimate force behind creation is God's word. Kun fayakun. Be, and it is. More powerful than any physical force science has discovered. Looking forward. This journey has shown us that science has limitations and is relatively new. Ancient wisdom contains universal truths. The Quran provides detailed descriptions that align with modern discoveries. There are layers of reality beyond physical observation. The universe has a clear structure and purpose. In upcoming chapters, we will explore the creatures that live in the heavens, the doors and pathways of the sky, what ascends and descends through the heavens, the final destiny of the universe, the angels and their roles, the mysteries of time and space, and much more about the hidden secrets of creation. Final reflection: this universe, with all its mysteries and wonders, points to a creator of unimaginable power and wisdom. Every star, every galaxy, every particle follows laws set by this creator. From the smallest atom to the largest galaxy, from the beginning of time to its end, everything is part of a grand design. As we continue this journey of discovery, we realize that both science and revelation, are gifts that help us understand our place in this vast cosmos. Science helps us observe and measure, while revelation gives us meaning and purpose. The story of creation is not just about how the universe began. It's about understanding who we are, why we exist, and what our destiny holds. May Allah guide us all to truth and grant us the wisdom to understand His creation. This concludes Chapter 1 of our journey through the universe. In the next chapter, we will explore the mysterious creatures that inhabit the heavens and their roles in the cosmic order.